Welcome to Every Night is Game Night, where two busy dads get games to the table by any means necessary. Check us out, along with other great podcasts, at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 85, International Tabletop Day 2018. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to Every Night is Game Night podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. And right off the jump, I have to go ahead and call myself out. I am a big fat liar. Last week on the show, I promised that me and Anthony would be back together talking about all the games that you love, but I wanted to get a special episode in here. So Anthony will definitely be back next week. Oh my goodness. I definitely promised that we were going to be back. I'll put the band back together next week. This week though, just, kind of a special event happened in between, and I wanted to do a full episode to cover it. This past Saturday, April 28th, I believe, was International Tabletop Day 2018. So if you don't know what International Tabletop Day is, if you are off social media, if you don't do that kind of thing, it is a big event that is really worldwide, as the name says, international, where all sorts of folks kind of agree to celebrate the things that get us together as families, as friends around the table. We celebrate board games, we celebrate RPGs. Depending on where you are, hopefully, you have connections so that you can go to a local store, a local con, or you just kind of host something at your house. Or just, kind of do it via social media. You have all sorts of people, depending on who you follow, posting games, playing games, and this is something that lasts all day, What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about a store event that we had up here in Connecticut. I go to an awesome store. I think I've talked about the store a lot on this podcast. I can't give these guys enough credit. It is the Portal Game Store up in Manchester, Connecticut. It is the best gaming store that I've ever been to, and I've been to a bunch. Really, when I first came up to Connecticut and I was looking for places, looking for groups, I was going to all sorts of meetups and everything. I fell into this place. It's like a 30 to 45 minute drive away, but I don't care. They are really awesome, and they had a really, really awesome 24-hour tabletop day celebration. I went to a good chunk of it, definitely not 24 hours, no way. But I went there for a big chunk of it, and I really, really had a good time. So figured it would be fun to kind of take an episode, tell you about the games that I played, the experiences that I had. I'll probably weave in a couple of reviews that I meant to do anyway, but it just so happens that they fit into the episode because I played these games on the at the event. The games are going to be the Shipwreck Arcana, which is this cool cooperative game that I got a chance to play, and two games by Pencil First Games, which are Herbaceous and Sunset Over Water, which, two games that are very cool fillers that might be of interest to our listenership. I got a chance to get them to the table on Tabletop Day and other days as well. So we're going to do like a little combined thing, review, and also a running diary. So what I mean by running diary is I'm going to move through the day, move through the different experiences I had. I have some audio clips for you. We have some people who are on the Dice Tower Network, who are in the Portal Gaming Store. Maybe you've heard their voices before, either on this pod or elsewhere. We'll hear from them, and we'll just mash it all together and see how it comes out as an episode. So that's the plan. I hope that you guys enjoy it. But first, we are going to bring back Liz Davidson for her segment on Kickstarters. She gave us a couple of clips before the Fantasy Adventure Roundtable. We gave her a couple of weeks break after that. In the interim, we've had a couple of people talk to us and say that they enjoyed the segment. So we are going to bring it back. So here we go. Liz from Beyond Solitaire with your Kickstarter preview right now.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to encourage your Every Night is Game Night acquisition disorder. This week, we'll be talking about a story-driven solitaire deck builder, Blight Chronicles Agent Decker. In Blight Chronicles, you are a highly trained agent who must complete a top-secret mission. Each mission is divided into several stages, and you can actually save your game state if you need to pause between them. The game also contains several interesting mechanics that match its stealthy super spy theme. To add cards to your deck, you are able to eliminate cards that threaten you. These cards then turn into cool abilities to use on future turns. However, every time you eliminate a card, you raise suspicions about you. Get too suspicious and you will lose the game. If you want to get around a threat without eliminating it, you have the option to knock it out instead, a choice that takes a card out of commission but without it becoming part of your deck. You can also do some very interesting things with equipment cards, which are tools and outfits that bring you special abilities. Overall, I'm very much enjoying my time with Blight Chronicles, and I love seeing interesting games that are aimed specifically at solo players. If this sounds like your sort of thing, definitely take a look. Happy gaming.
All right. Thank you, Liz, for picking us up and getting us our acquisition disorder project for the week. Now, let us get back to the topic at hand, International Tabletop Day. So just to set the scene, I did go to the event last year, my first year up here in Connecticut. I don't remember staying too long. I just had a lot going on and just, did as much as I could. But I said, you know what, this event sounds so awesome that this year I'm going to just section off a lot of time, make sure my whole life's in order so I can go to as much of it as possible, even to the point of giving a whole bunch of money to my mom and having her come up here. She lives in New York City. I'm up here in Connecticut. It's about a 3-hour train ride away. So he said, you know what, come on up here, babysit my 2-year-old so I can do everything I need to do over for Tabletop Day. Woke up around, before 5, which for me is impossible. I was just really excited, even though my alarm was set for 6:30. Loaded up the car, loaded up the games that I was going to bring to play possibly, and also to sell. I really was excited about the auction, had a great time with it last year. I was looking forward to clearing the shelves. We'll have a lot more to say about that auction later in the day. So I got there. It's about, a little bit after 6. The place is not exactly popping, so to speak, but there's definitely folks there. I mean, I'd say there were about 4 or 5 tables of people. We already had RPGs going. We already had a couple of board games going, which I was really, really surprised about. And it was definitely the alphas, the people who lead our little meetup, which is the Game on Chits and Giggles group. When a group gets to a particular size, and ours is pretty big, kind of stretching along all of central Connecticut, there are definitely going to be some folks who are just driving the bus, so to speak, at the front lines of everything. Even when they're not organizing it, they're, putting it out on social media and really, really involved. So those are the folks that were there. And that was pretty cool to see, when you just go into a place and you get that burst of energy. Wow. It just gets you off on the right foot. So let's hear from a couple of them. First, you'll hear from a friend of mine. And then over at another table, a couple of other friends of mine had laid out a massive game, the kind of game that you can pretty much only play on dedicated days like this. So let's check it out. Hey everybody, I am here with Harrison Guzman, who is a giant person here in our little meetup. I'm embarrassing him already. He is the person that runs the Chits and Giggles meetup in central Connecticut, and he is here at International Tabletop Day 2018. Welcome, Harrison.
Hey there, I'm Harrison. Like he said, we run the meetup group Game on Chits and Giggles, and we're having a bunch of folks in today. We played Eldritch Horror earlier, just got ourselves slaughtered.
What was that other game you were playing, that giant party game that I was looking at?
Pitch Deck, I think. It's just about, it was made by the people who made monikers, and it's just kind of like Snake Oils meets, I don't know, the worst possible thing that you could ever see. I had to have people pitch me for a way to improve Grinder.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, when you're playing 24 hours, you're going to play basically anything that hits the table.
Yeah. I hope you don't have to edit that.
So, I mean, just with getting a cross-section of the things that are happening at the store, the little thing you're running over here is this little commemorative, what is this, a play mat or something?
Yeah, it's a giant play mat. We have a bunch of Sharpies, and just has International Tabletop Day on it. It's, we get to remember all the cool names that we see and people are drawing. Little pictures. I put a little yellow meeple on there. Larry put a bigger yellow meeple on there. A little bit of a power move, but we'll see a little bit more of that later when this gets filled in.
All right. Thanks, Harrison. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Like that's 4.
Hey, everybody. Jason here. I'm here at a game of Twilight Imperium 4 at 7 o'clock in the morning. This game started Lord knows when. I am here with Gary Pope from Late to the Table. Hi, Gary.
Hey, what's up, Jason? How you doing? Oh, sorry.
We also got Ben and Andrew and Mike. Dave, something. Yeah, there you go. How you guys feeling about this game so far? You're only 2 hours into it at 7 o'clock in the morning.
pretty good. We're also only like an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops.
I feel like I'm gonna lose, but that's okay.
Wait, it's 7:40.
Just yes, you are 2 hours in. See, stop messing with me. You guys are not ready to kill each other, are you?
Oh, what was that?
You guys not ready to kill each other, are you?
Close to it. We're very close to it. There's Dave over here is encroaching on my home state, so he can't.
I'm over the whole board, though.
I will check in about 5 hours. I will check back in about 5 hours. Check on the game, see if they're willing to flip the table. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
So actually, my original plan was to check in at the beginning and at the end of that game, but I ended up playing a lot of short games as opposed to the longer games that I would usually take advantage of here. So whenever I had a break in one of the games, I said, you know what, let me mosey on over there and check out the game state. So you might hear from them a couple of times before we finish this pod. So what did I play? At this point, I'm going to start weaving in some proper reviews, and I'm going to try to bounce back and forth between giving reviews and sharing about some of the fun I had, and hopefully have a good time with the episode. But thank you to Harrison and his girlfriend Elspeth. I really appreciate that I was able to, first of all, spend some time with Harrison. You know, he's a really cool guy. Don't get to see him all that often. We hang out in different circles. But really, really great gamer and really kind of reaches into the corners, some places that I usually don't reach in terms of exposure to games. So both of them showed me the Shipwreck Arcana. This was designed by Kevin Bishop and published by Miramorph Games. Matthew Bishop is the artist, and he was also the designer of the Sentinels of the Multiverse custom fan expansion, The Cauldron, which I've mentioned on this pod a couple of times. Didn't actually realize that until I went on the website and I bought it. Spoiler alert, I love this game. As soon as I finished playing this game, I went right on the website and I bought it. Just really, really cool game. And I'm like, oh, I recognize that dude. Great. Happy to support him. So let's talk about Shipwreck Arcana. I usually begin with theme. I have no idea what the theme is supposed to be. I really don't. You're on a shipwreck and you have to escape using magic and fortune telling and omens and whatever. Never mind. Nothing to see here with regards to theme. Really, it's a small card-based cooperative logic deduction game. Pure co-op, but of the limited information variety. Think in the same family as Hanabi or the Ravens of Three Sahashri, or even a game like Mysterium, in the sense that you're giving clues and there's limited information, there's limited communication. So it really drives you nuts when some of the clue giving goes wrong, which is a really fun part of this. So in Shipwreck Arcana, so the essence of the game comes down to this bag of tiles, right? This bag of tiles is numbered 1 through 7. There's 21 tiles in the bag, so 3 copies of each number. Each turn, the active player is going to pull out 2 tiles. They are then going to reveal 1 tile to everybody else that's playing, and then everybody else that's playing, it could be 1 person, 2 person, 3 people. They have to guess what the other tile is. When the tile is revealed, you're going to put them on one of 4 cards that are laid out. They're custom cards, and they dictate some kind of rule based on what is either in the person's hand or tiles that have been played on previous turns. So you might have a card that says, if one tile is a 5, 6, or 7 and the other is not, put that tile here. Or if the difference between the tiles in your hand is greater than 4, put the tile there. So if you were to put down a 7, for example, on that card, it would communicate to the other players that the active player has a 1, 2, 3, or 4, because that is more than 4 away from the tile that was put down. The art of this game is to put down information not just on that main card, because that eliminates some but not all of the possibilities, but then the person has to kind of read the active player. Anybody who's done a logic puzzle, the key is not just about what you say, but what you don't say. So you gave that number clue. Why'd you give this number clue? Why couldn't you have given this other clue? Oh, because it is the thing. You go through that logic process, and I'm a person that just kind of logics it out loud and everything. So it's either great and I've nailed the logic, or it's terrible and people are just like, what is going on? This is going terribly wrong. But anyway, so it's that kind of feeling that you get from this game. You have to get around 7 of these guesses right before getting a certain amount wrong, depending on the difficulty level. There's also a timer mechanism where the cards, quote unquote, fade away and the new rule card takes its place. So you're always kind of rotating. It isn't the same old cards every single time. Then when a card fades away, you get a special one-time use power, which is available to you, which also changes up gameplay. Like now you can give 2 guesses or something like that. So I'm not going to go into all the this, that, out of the game. I hope I've given you a sense of how the game feels, that limited communication, Hanabi-ish type experience. Really, really good. I played this game a bunch of times. I love logic puzzles. I love limited information games. I mentioned Hanabi a couple of times, which is in my personal top 10. Also some of the other games I mentioned, like Mysterium and all that kind of stuff. This game stands right there with a lot of those games. The rhythm is great. So if you are a guesser, you get a bunch of information at the beginning, and then it just gets immediately narrowed down, and then you have to deduce the rest. That's a really, really great rhythm. And you never feel like you're kind of lost in the guess. It's like, oh, I don't have a foot to stand on. All right, I've already eliminated a bunch of possibilities. Now I just have to work out these last 2 possibilities based on what was not said, which is a really, really great dynamic. There's great card variety. Some of the cards were a little confusing, hard to read. Maybe it was just because of the nature of tabletop day. A lot of people around, a lot of noise and hubbub and all that kind of stuff. But, easy to deal with. There's a whole bunch of cards in the deck, so you just kind of move on from the ones that you don't understand, use the ones that you do. I love it. I really was impressed by it. Thank you very much once again, Harrison and Elsbeth, for showing me the game. I can highly recommend it. That is the Shipwreck Arcana cooperative logic game. All right, so in that morning session, I played Shipwreck Arcana, got a game of Grim Forest in, which you're going to review next week. What else did I play? I played The Climbers, which is this... Not every game is a winner. This one just had blocks, and you have these little meeples, and you're trying to climb the blocks and everything. Yeah, that one is not so great. But while we were playing The Climbers, over at the other table, we had that long game of TI2. Let's check back in and see what's going on.
Tabletop day.
It is now almost 10 o'clock. These gentlemen are in hour 4 of their TI4 marathon. Gary, anybody else, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm tied for the lead right now, but things are fine.
I should probably ask whoever's losing. Who's losing?
I'm losing. I'm only tied for last place. And it's fine. I'm scared. I made Dave mad earlier, and I feel really bad about it still.
So this is a podcast. You can't sell that he's like, it's fine, with bloodshot eyes, wanting to be anywhere but here.
But yeah,
Andrew, how you doing?
Doing fine. Right now, everyone has a huge army that's basically at least 1 tile away from me. There's a dude with wormholes jumping all over the place. There's some plants trying to befriend me.
How many hours you guys got to go?
Let's say
probably
2.
an hour and a half, 2.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
We'll see. 4 hours later, I'll check in. They'll probably still be playing.
New game.
Yeah, not so much. They still have a little bit of a ways to go in that game. We will check in on them later. So like I said in the clip, it was about 10 a.m. The place is starting to fill up. I'm sure you heard the noise in the background. It wasn't just the alphas anymore. People are starting to come in, have a lot of fun. We had role players, probably I guess more on the quote unquote casual end of things. I'm just going to spend, a little bit of the morning here, have a little bit of fun. At 10 o'clock is when things start to open. So you're starting to see a lot of food around. One of the things that I really would have loved to have seen, I'm not sure how possible it was, but a nice solid food truck right outside selling some. I think that a food truck would have made a killing, looking at how many people were there. And it was also a beautiful day. A lot of people, I imagine, were looking for reasons to just kind of step outside and stretch. And there would have been a food truck right there. Maybe something to look at for later. But at this point, like I said, people are flowing in, and we're also getting some guests. Another thing an event like this is good for is to reach out to local personalities who we never get to reach out to because they're so busy, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Just come on down, have a good time, mix with the local people, and, see how that goes. So we're going to hear from one such special guest in just a second. And also the person who invited them. This is DeBrant from the Portal Gaming Podcast, along with his co-host Brian. Let's hear from them right now. All right, I am back at Tabletop Day with the Summer family. You heard Eric's voice at the beginning of the podcast. Hi, Eric.
Hey, how's it going, Jason?
And we have his beautiful sons who have just throttled us at a game of Pass the Pandas. Please introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Noah. I'm Evan.
Thank you guys for visiting our store. So how does this compare to any cons that you've been to, like Con or some of the other places like that?
It's definitely shorter, because Con's 3 days. This is only 24 hours.
And you guys weren't here the whole 24 hours. That's not gonna happen, right?
No.
How about you? How does this compare to like a bigger con?
I have no idea because I've never been to any other con.
Your father doesn't let you out at cons?
Nope.
You went to Origins, but you were very, very young.
And Dice Tower Con.
And Dice Tower Con. So you did go to Dice Tower Con and play some stuff there.
It's a little smaller.
Oh, this is a little smaller than Dice Tower Con. Yes.
You guys having fun?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm having a lovely time.
There you go. All right. Thank you guys very much for being on the pod.
You're welcome. Welcome.
You're welcome. You guys want to sing?
No.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Stop it.
Hey everybody, I am here with the Brant and Brian from the Portal Gaming Podcast. We're at the Portal store, so no surprise I was going to get these two on the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Brant, and yeah, we're just hanging out, playing games 24 hours today for International Tabletop Day.
Yeah, this is Brian. We're going strong. We got a ton of people, and we had a good crowd going from a little before midnight, too. So,
Brian, you're managing. Are you able to play?
Yeah, I've got a good mix. Every now and then there's a lull, so I can kind of, once people are in games, I can kind of bounce around and play some stuff and just check in on everything.
What are you guys playing? Heavy stuff.
Yeah. Played some Dominant Species, played Castell, played Space Base.
Okay, yes.
All right, good one. That was a good one. So, yeah, just a lot of people. It's really starting to pick up now. There's an auction soon, which is going to be really fun. We got a couple people coming from like media, as well as you, hanging out here and playing. So, yeah, good time, and then recording our podcast as well. So
you'll hear from John, who's the owner of the store. We'll be running the auction in a minute. Not the owner. Wait, he just made a face.
Yeah, he runs the portal.
Runs the portal. Sorry about that. Runs it. It's not me. That's all I know. So I just wanted to get you guys. I know you guys are representing the portal, so you're gonna have there's gonna be all sorts of bias and whatever it is. But like, I really wanted to get out the fact that this is like basically like a con. Like if you go to up in Connecticut, we have Con and Fall Con and all that kind of stuff. Like, I can't really tell the difference between that and this. Is that kind of what you had in mind when you organized this kind of event?
Yeah, so I mean, it started off, and I guess it's an event that I would want to be at, 24 hours, just kind of a cool thing to do every once in a while. Come down, play a lot of games, and just, people know that it's a place to be, and that's kind of where we get that huge draw.
Yeah, I think what's really good about something like this, too, is whereas a con might last several days, there's a lot of energy in one day, and you catch people on the right day, they know it's coming, it's awesome that, Geek and Sundry sponsors kind of the International Tabletop Day to let people know. So the store can just really embrace that. You have a lot of people just coming in and playing, and you get that vibe. We try to find certain games that'll work really well to get the energy going, and people just pick up and run their own events. So it gets all that energy packed into that one day, which makes it really fun.
So we got the auction coming up later. We got Twilight Period 4, which is still over there in their 17th hour. Lots of stuff going on. Thanks, Scott, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
All right, speaking of that TI4 game, let's check in. We are back at the TI4 table. Ben has turned it around. He has gone from shell shock, wondering what is going on, to all of a sudden he is the head man, and all three have made an alliance to stop him. How are you feeling right now, Ben?
Scared, mainly.
Still?
Yeah, well, okay, because he has 2 war sons that he's planning to attack my home system with next turn. I do have, like,
a bajillion units.
I think you're fine. I have a couple dozen infantrymen on the planet, so in theory, even if he kills all my ship, he can take control of the planet, but it's still nerve-wracking.
So it is now 12 o'clock. They are entering hour 7 of this extravaganza. We'll see if they last a couple of more hours.
Where's Gary?
He passed out.
Gary passed out. So we'll see if Gary actually recovers in time to finish the game. Now, you would think since Gary's a really good friend of mine, we've become really good friends over the last couple of years since I moved up to Connecticut, that I will go look for him, make sure he was okay, make sure he wasn't just passed out in the bathroom or something like that. But he was fine. And I just went and played more games. And I really emphasized at this point, it's 12 o'clock. It's, the clock is ticking down to the big auction. So I really wanted to emphasize just fillers, little tiny games that I could just get in 5-10 minutes and go from there. Played a game called Blueprints, which was this little like rolling stacking game. Didn't really make an impression on me. Welcome to the Dungeon was actually a little bit better for me. But the game that I probably like the best, and I'll give a proper review of it right now, is Herbaceous. Herbaceous came out last year, 2017. It was designed by Eduardo Barafs, Dr. Steve Finn, solo mode by Keith Matika, the art by Beth Sobel, published by Pencil First Games, so real ensemble cast. Full disclosure, there is a Kickstarter preview series coming soon with Ed, who will be here to talk about the Sprouts expansion for Herbaceous. So I definitely want to get this review in before then, just to, kind of get my thoughts out there. All right, so Herbaceous is a push your luck style set collection game. If you've played Biblios, also designed by Dr. Finn, it's fairly similar in terms of the way it works out mechanically, which I'll get to in a second. The game is pretty much comprised of a deck of cards that depicts different herbs. We're talking tarragon, sage, rosemary, and, dill, lavender, all that kind of stuff. And in terms of the way it plays out in the table, it's very, very simple. In this game, you're going to begin with that deck of cards in the middle of the table, and you are going to have a collection of 4 pots. And these different pots set the scoring conditions of the game. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to fulfill the conditions of the pots however you can. If you do that well enough, you're going to win. So one pot might ask you to collect as many different herbs as possible, one of each. Another pot might ask you to collect all of one different herb, and so on and so forth. So on your turn, it's really, really simple. You are going to draw 2 cards, one at a time from the center deck. When you draw the first card, you decide whether you want to keep it or you put it in the community pot. And whatever you do with that first card, when you pull the second card, you do the opposite thing. So if you put the first card in a community deck, the second card you have to keep. So as the rounds and rounds go by, you are eventually going to want to pot some of these herbs that you're collecting. So let's say you want to pot, you think you have enough saffron and you want to put that away. You're going to take whatever is relevant in your personal pile, and then whatever is relevant in the community pile, and just, tuck them away. So what's in the community pile is available for everybody. So that's where the tension of the game comes, where let's say you're working on a bunch of saffron. I want to get as much saffron in this one pot as possible. And there's a couple hanging out in the community pot. Or the community garden, I suppose. Pot garden. A little bit confusing terminology for me anyway. So here's a decision. You're looking, you have 2 saffrons in your personal pot, you have 2 saffrons in the middle, and you're saying, you know what, I can either grab them now and just score whatever, or I could let it ride, risk the fact that someone might take that saffron from me and I won't get anything. So yeah, that's really the essence of the game. It's this kind of like, push your luck, risk for higher and higher scores, but you might just kind of, crap out and get a whole bunch of nothing. There is a solo mode. The solo mode was designed by Keith Matika. What you do is you split the deck in half. Instead of pulling 2 cards, you're pulling 3. You keep 1, you put 1 in the community, and you discard 1, and that's really like Biblios. That's exactly what you do in that first phase of that game. And you're just doing that until you race for the high score. What do I think? The game is neat. The game is breezy. It was perfect. It was perfect for... I was waiting for something, very, very low setup time, which is something I really appreciate. There's no real text on the cards. It's everything's very clean and simple. That push your luck mechanic works. That tension works. Neat, really, really neat game in terms of something quick to play. I did get a chance to play this solo, not on tabletop day, but on other days. Don't love it. In fact, I don't think I even like it. It feels very, very lucky. It feels like it feels like Klondike Solitaire sometimes, in the sense that, I think the win or the loss is kind of baked into the deck rather than any decisions that I've really made, so I'm going for something and it just so happens that the rest of the deck doesn't have it because I cut it out of the rest of the deck. It's like, all right, well, It felt very tacked on. I mean, I get it. It's a Kickstarter company. It's a company that's very friendly to solo. Pencil First does a lot of their games that are solo. So I bet they kind of said, okay, they design a game. It's like, okay, let's design the solo afterwards. It definitely feels that way, at least. I was very disappointed by it. But as a family-friendly filler, low setup time, very portable, fits in a very, very short amount of time. I think he banged that game at about 15, 20 minutes, very low teach time and all that kind of stuff. I do recommend this game. So that is Herbaceous, the last game that I was able to get in before our big auction for Tabletop Day. But before we check in on the auction, let's go one last time over to the table where they're playing TI4. I know they wanted to get in on that auction too, so good for them. They were able to finish, and let's hear the end of that game right now. All right. At a tidy 6.5 hours, Twilight Imperium 4 has been completed. Ben is the winner after being behind for so long in the game. Ben, how you feeling?
I feel good.
Do you feel scared still?
Yeah, I mean, I know that Dave was pretty mad at me earlier whenever I destroyed one of his things, and then two of his war sounds exploded on the way over to me, and so I'm scared of the repercussions.
Scared of the metagame. That is how you know Twilight Imperium 4 went really, really well. The positive thing is that here you guys still have 12 hours of gaming to go. How many games will you guys get in now?
One more.
We get 2 more games of Twilight Imperium. We get 2 more in. 6 hours.
We did this in less than 6.
We're going to play this maybe 2 more times, so maybe only a couple more games. Probably not.
Thanks, guys.
What? No, we started talking.
All right, so I know what you guys are going to say. Why are you going on and on about only a 6.5 hour game? That's like a light, breezy game of Twilight Imperium 4. You got to understand, I guess I'm like Z Garcia over on the Dice Tower, that I personally don't play long games. I mean, it has to be like some crazy thematic experience like Time Stories. And, even after 4 hours, I'm like, all right, I'm looking to do something else. So, having fun with those guys. We're good friends with Gary and some of the other guys at the table and everything. So, yep, just having fun. God bless you if you can sit at that table for 6.5 hours and play one game. Anyway, so finally we are at a feature of International Tabletop Day at the Portal Game Store, which is the auction. So if you've ever participated in an auction, it is a really, really good place to both clear out your games, and also if you want to find some deals and sneak some stuff in there in terms of, maybe there's a rare game, or maybe there's a game that you've been looking at and it's been too expensive at MSRP. You want to get it for a little bit cheaper. Really, really great way to kind of match that, or to make those two parts come together. So yeah, as opposed to kind of giving my own thing about it, at least for the way this particular auction ran, as a seller, I wasn't exactly the most pleased person in the world. Some of the buyers weren't quite as enthusiastic as I was hoping they would be. I go back and forth with John, who's at the portal, who ran the auction. Please take what we talk about with a grain of salt. At that point, it was like mid-afternoon. John's exhausted. I'm starting to get a little bit punchy. So this clip may be a little bit more sarcastic than it came out, but what the heck, I'm going to give it to you anyway. So here's me and John talking about the auction. All right, I'm here with Jonathan Roth, store manager here at the Portal Gaming Store. We have just finished our auction. Big auction, lasted about 2+ hours. How you feeling, bro?
A little overwhelmed, a little tired, but it went pretty good all in all.
You were like, let's go outside. I got to smoke a cigarette.
Get some fresh air, yeah. A lot of heavy air there today, for lack of a better term.
It is a really, really nice day out here. I have no idea what we're doing inside.
These
Double
guys
hockey
got
sticks.
the right idea, dude. They're playing RPGs outside on the picnic table and stuff. They got the right idea.
There you go. See, what are they playing? Pathfinder over there?
I think they're doing Star Wars. I'm not sure Star Wars, I think. Anyways.
So the auction, man, how's it, wrapping up into the thing? Is it something that is successful for the store?
Yeah, I mean, I tried it for the first time a couple times last year, and it just kind of became one of those things that people really look forward to, or it went from like a side event to being almost like a focal point, kind of staple of Tabletop Day. And, I've worked with Harrison and those guys with Extra Life to kind of do some charity auctions for them as well that kind of spawned from the success we had last year at Tabletop Day.
So now that we've said the nice stuff, let's just be real, all right? Board gamers are cheap. Seriously, if it wasn't for Magic players, there would be no gaming whatsoever because these board gamers came in, Twilight Imperium, $20, here you go. I sold Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride, you can't get that thing. I barely sold it for $21. This is terrible.
Azul shocked me that went for $40. You know, it's a GTS exclusive. A lot of the bigger box stores don't use GTS because they're more expensive than a lot of other distributors. I mean, I've seen that game online, 60, 80, 100 bucks, and to go for 40, I told the guy beforehand, I felt bad. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get less than 80 bucks for that. And it was like pulling teeth to get 3 people to bid on it. Oh, he's going up by increments of 5. Oh no, you know. So there's a couple massive lot of Imperial Salt. The dude is asking like $100 for it, no bids, like
not a peep.
Yeah, not a peep out of the audience. You know, and if it was $2, it went real quick. But
that's right.
It was tough. I think the quality of games was a little bit better last year. We were selling what? Waterworld, the board game. Yeah, couldn't give descriptions on half of them. But, you know, I think that all in all, you know, some guys had the right idea and a couple of guys walked out with some good money in their pocket. So,
let that be a lesson to you. If you want to search for a good deal on a game, hit up these local auctions. These board gamers, you just put in your low bid and see what happens.
Yeah, just bring like $3. You can walk out with, you know, all of Shadows of Brimstone or Twilight Imperium or something like that. Kingdom Death Monster for $2. I don't know.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good talk to you.
Good talk to you as well.
All right, let me admit something to you guys about that clip. As soon as I recorded that with John, I'm like, wow, I need to just take a break, a real break. So right after that, got in the car, took all of the games that did not sell and some of the games that I brought, went home, took a nice nap, got a nice healthy dinner in. Really, really needed it because, I mean, God bless you if you could stay all 24 hours. Not just on an energy level, but I guess, you know, I'm kind of an introvert. You know, I know I'm like a big, loud, happy guy. I always have like guests on the show and clips and everything. But I guess at the end of the day, it cost me a lot of energy, you know, to be able to do that. So I don't think I could really sustain that for a really, really extended period of time. So, you know, as happy as I am to see everybody, I just need to unplug, go and recharge the battery. So I really recommend, if you guys are out there, you know, interested in this kind of event, plan that. You know, that was totally like in the plan. Like it was a little bit later than I wanted it to be, but it was totally in the plan to be able to go back to my place, reconnect with my family, you know, have some food, take a break, and then go back. And by the time I got back, I'd say I left maybe mid-afternoon. I got back there around 8, you know, just to kind of finish off. By the time I get back, I was actually feeling pretty good. I'm pretty ready to tackle the rest of the night, even though it was only for a couple of hours. So I got back. I think it was pretty much winding down. It felt like a regular meetup night. The kind of festival atmosphere, you know, once everybody got the auction games and Eric, you know, we heard from Eric somewhere earlier. I think Rob Davio had actually showed up. I missed him. I'll get you next time, Mr. Davio. You know, a couple other special guests and like that. All that stuff was cleared out and it was basically, you know, a nice chill evening. You could really tell the energy level of the place. Pretty much every single game that I went through that night, I taught. I think at that point, the people who were there a long time were like, all right, I'm done. You know, they were just kind of either playing what they knew or, you know, letting other people teach. I'm happy to teach. I love teaching. You'll always catch me teaching games and everything. So yeah, so that was the rest of the evening. So I went, we played a quick game of Hanami Koji with somebody who was waiting for a game. That's a 2-player dueling game, which is one of my favorites. Played a large game of Alien Artifacts. We reviewed that game, I don't know, 10 or 12 episodes ago. I gave it a good review. As I'm playing that game more and more, it's kind of bumping up higher and higher in my esteem. My big problem was that there was like this big chunk of randomness in the middle of the game, but the more and more I play it with different people, you know, and, you know, playing it, you know, with the solo variant and everything, I'm really kind of coming around to that game, and it just comes up and up again. I see myself playing that game for a while, especially because it just got an expansion. It's probably going to get more, so I see myself playing that for a little while. But the very last game of the evening, the game, and I did this on purpose. So this is a game that I got as a review copy. I'm very, very thankful to Pencilverse Games. Once again, another Pencilverse Games release that I'm going to talk about here. I wanted to end the night on this because this game just makes me feel really good. And this is Sunset Over Water. This was designed by the same team, Ed Baraf, Keith Matika, Dr. Steve Finn, art by Beth Sobel. So the same exact team as the team that brought you Herbaceous. Like Herbaceous, this is a set collection game, but it plays out in a very, very different way. So in this game, Sunset Over Water, you're an artist that is traveling around the world looking to paint the most beautiful landscapes you can find. The quote-unquote world is represented by a 5x5 grid of card that depict these really, really striking landscapes. So, I mean, this is the kind of draw of the game. If you're passing by the game on a table, and in the portal, we have this like white table, so the cards just kind of like leap off. Beth Sobel is the artist. She painted all of these original landscapes of like mountains and rivers, and I mean, it's just really nice. And not just like nice and beautiful, because you have a lot of like nice, beautiful games, but just really, really soothing and calming. Like, there's no, dramatic anything in this thing. It's just, you look at the game and it's just like gives you a nice, calm feeling. So just, kudos to the art. I remember we had Dr. Steve Finn over at the portal presenting the game, and he said that the art came first, and they said, make a game out of this. So this is definitely a feature, not a bug. I mean, starting with the art and working backwards from there seems like it's a little bit of a win for this game. Anyway, so there's two phases to the game. In phase 1, everyone secretly chooses one from a deck of personal movement cards. Each card has a time on it, usually from about 5 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The earlier your time, it's generally not as good a card, but you have a better chance to go first. At least go before your opponent. In phase 2, you're going to reveal your cards, and you're going to move your little pawn across the 5x5 grid. As you move over cards, you're going to choose to pick some of them up. The cards have symbols on them corresponding to like the mountains and the waterfall and a river and all that kind of thing. You're going to match whatever the symbols on the cards are to what they call commission cards. Commission cards represent patrons that are putting in orders for certain landscapes. So if somebody wants a picture of a sun and a picture with a mountain and something else in there, you're going to, kind of move around the board looking for those particular things, and then, cash that in, and that's how you score all the points in the game. And that is really it, so you play your cards secretly. You hope that you get there before then, or you hope at least that you've chosen a path where your opponents can't really go, so they can't, steal the landscape painting from you. And you're going to, get those paintings, score those points. At the end of the round, the tableau fills up, so there's always going to be places to go in the world in order to be able to paint pictures. After 6 rounds, whoever has the most commission cards wins. Or whoever has the most points off of those commission cards wins. There's a couple of other point scoring things, but I think in terms of the feel of the game, I think that gives you a sense for how it goes. Keith Matika also designed the solo. Just as he did in Herbaceous, it seems like he is the solo designer for hire. He was on a previous series, and we hope to have him back on the show at some point, so we'll look out for an opportunity to do that. So for the solo mode of Sunset Over Water, it's basically the same. Only the pictures do not refill after you take them. You pass over certain cards called ranger stations, which are located in the tableau in order to refill the board. So in solo mode, instead of rushing to get the pictures before your opponents, you get the pictures in a way where you make sure that the board gets refilled at certain times. So you might just like go straight for all the pictures, but then you have no pictures to pick up because you haven't been mindful of refilling the board. So it creates a little bit of extra tension there. So, I mean, the bottom line is I really, really love this game. There is a reason why I wanted to play this game as my very, very last game at Tabletop Day. I wanted to leave with a good taste in my mouth, and guess what? That's exactly what I did. Everything about this game I just feel like is fabulous. Family weight filler. What I really appreciate is the vibe. As I was saying before, it's not just that the game is beautiful, but there's something about the way the landscape speaks to the players that just tells you to relax. Like, you, player over there, relax right now. Take your time. Think through your turns. In some fillers, you want to be able to, play quickly. If you're in Herbaceous and you have the one card in your hand and you're like thinking about it, it's like, all right, come on. In this game, though, when you're in that phase 1 and you're choosing your cards correctly, and let's say there's like a player who's still thinking about, because there is a lot to think about. Like, you have to think about your path. There's different directions in which you can go. There's, ways that the other players can kind of, take your paintings before you can. So you're trying to figure out all the time and stuff. But whatever, for whatever reason, and maybe that's a temperament thing. Maybe that's just the players that I'm playing with. And I play this with a bunch of groups at this point. People just don't they're like, cool. Hey, take your time, man. I think the game encourages that. I think the landscape paintings encourage that. To be thinky, to be, to look at it. I mean, it's not like a brain burner or anything like that, but you do have to think about a lot. At higher player counts, it's a little bit more cutthroat, which I don't love the game at 4, because that's just my personality. I do love the game at, 3 we played at the end of the night. And then, I've played with 2 and I've played solo, obviously. At those player counts, I love this game. I really, really do. It just really evokes that sense of thinkiness, that sense of but in a calm way. It's not a game that's going to rush you to anything. The solo mode is good, at tacked on clearly. But this time, the solo mode really worked. I think something about the push your luck element in Herbaceous kind of put me off. But in this one, because it's so serene, because it's so spatial, because you have this kind of back and forth between, getting paintings before they disappear and all that kind of stuff, I can't say enough good things about this game. It is a solid part of my collection. I will take it to every game night I can. It's my little pack of games that I travel with. Sunset Over Water is an absolute winner, and that's really all I got to say about that. All right, so finally, I was there until the last stroke of midnight. I was there when, people are starting to pack up, and really, there's still games going on. Just because it's 12 o'clock doesn't mean that they're going to kick you right out. I mean, they're pretty friendly about that, and there were, still people buzzing around. But you can definitely tell that most of the people there were pretty much done. But happy, but really, really happy. I think, I mentioned before how the alphas, quote unquote, the most passionate people had stayed until the end. I think that was pretty true. That held pretty true for the most part. The people who stayed the 24 hours, the people who kind of took a break in the middle and they wanted to be there for the beginning and the end. They were all there. So there was a really happy energy, in the sense of we did it, I mean, I see you for a couple of days, but we did it. Really, really happy to be there at the end. And I got a chance to reconnect with the guy who finished off his TI4 game, who actually helped out with the auction. So this is Gary Pope from Late to the Table and Game All Night. He's probably also moderated your comment in the Dice Tower Facebook feed, which, as I'm finding out, there is not quite as huge a crossover between our audience with the solo games and the co-op games and some of the strategy games and, the main Dice Tower audience, which, we're kind of hoping to fill, at least bridge that gap a little bit. Anyway, total sidebar. Let's get to Gary. And also, the Brant is back. He decided to hop on the clip as well. So they have done the full 24, and they are going to tell you how they're feeling about it. All right, we are here at 11:43 p.m. I have the Brant who has returned to the podcast. Oh, actually, both. Gary Pope was also on the podcast, too, earlier today. You guys bid both the 24 hours. I have nothing to do with that nonsense. Do you regret anything?
No, and I definitely do it again. I'm doing it again another 6 months, so no regrets for me.
Yeah, no regrets. It was a super blast. I played heavy games. I played light games. I played with kids. I played with adults. I played with people I don't know. I played with my wife. Played with friends that I play with at my house, so it was awesome. I am tired. I am ready for a nice sleep in my bed.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for Jason to get this camera out of my face, so then we can move on. No, but it's been a great time.
Gary just did a recorded spot for the Portal Gaming Podcast. That is the Portal Gaming Podcast. Went about 14 minutes on his description because he has no filter anymore. We're not letting him do that. This is not happening. I regret every minute of what you guys are doing, but that is not my life. Thank you, guys. I'm glad that you guys had fun.
No, thanks for having us on the podcast, Jason.
Yeah, I got to go play a solo game now.
All right, Brett. let me just set the record straight right now. You think you're funny over there, but you actually have your finger on something because I'm here on Sunday, the day after, and you could not pay me to sit across from another human being and play another game right now. Played about 8-9 games while I was at tabletop. All I want to do right now is sit with my Hero Realms. I got Hero Realms laid out, little campaign going. Excellent game. I'll have a review at some point coming up soon. Yeah, I am good on social interaction. Even like, so like PAX Unplugged, I did PAX Unplugged. That was 3 days. I was teaching, I was interfacing, all that kind of stuff. Even on a day like that where it's like super charged, I could do it, but every night I was in my hotel room. I was playing Castles of Burgundy card game. I was playing Oniram or whatever I had hanging out on my phone. Just, this is the good stuff, man. For us introverts, the people who are enjoying this show, who are on the solo end of things, man, that is the stuff that keeps us going. Get those little games in, get the battery charged up so that we are ready when we're ready to get back to the game group. So nuts to you, Brett. Just kidding, man. I love you. Okay, so that is the episode. That was my adventures for International Tabletop Day. Once again, I have to give shout out to all of my friends, to Gary, to Brant, to Brian, to Ben, to Elsbeth for showing me Shipwreck Arcana, for so many other people who made Tabletop Day completely awesome. Just because I don't want to sit across from you right now doesn't mean I don't love you. So all the love in the world. So that is going to do it for another episode of Every Night is Game Night. Once again, a non-traditionally structured episode. Please give us feedback. You can reach us at ENGN_podcast on the Twitter. We are at everynightisgamenight.com, the sister of BoardGamersAnonymous.com. You can see us on all sorts of Facebook groups. We're talking the board game group. We're talking Facebook solo group. We're talking Board Game Revolution and the Dice Tower. You can also reach us at dicetower.com. So because we are a part of the Dice Tower network. All sorts of places where you can reach out to us, let us know what's going on. The biggest favor you could do for us is to rate. Please go to iTunes. Apple and iTunes are the same thing. Haha. I caught myself. But SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can give us a rating that helps us increase the visibility, get some more and more people. If you enter every EVERY space on the search bar, Every Night is Game Night is one of the podcasts that comes up and auto-populates, which is amazing. You'd be amazed how many people find the podcast like that. And that's because you guys have been awesome in rating and all that kind of stuff. So thank you very much. And we would like to encourage you to keep on doing that. Thank you so much. All right. That is it for this episode. This is Jason signing off, reminding you to grab a game, solo or otherwise, off the shelf, and let's make every night a game night.